Do you know what really sucks? Is sitting down to edit your project and realizing that you have gaps in your coverage or shots missing. You need to have a really good, specific, and detailed shot list. Head over to filmmakersecrets.com/shot list, SHOTLIST, to get a killer shot list template along with some training where I show you step by step exactly how to use it.
The audio was coming through crunchy, so it was just like cackling the whole time he was talking. The video was coming through super blurry. I keep telling everyone I hate live streams because there's 1,000 things that can go wrong and 1,000 reasons each one of those things can go wrong. So I'm just going through my Rolodex. It's like, okay, maybe this, and I'm not coming up with anything.
Filmmakers have the power to evoke emotion, inspire thought, and drive universal change in this world. Right now, a real seismic shift is happening in the film industry. This is your best chance to join a new filmmaking movement. You have been called to create an everlasting impact with your unmatched, deep desire to tell authentic stories. So how does a filmmaker thrive in an environment that is almost intentionally designed to bring you down? That is the question, and this podcast reveals the answer. What's happening, filmmakers? It's George VK. Welcome to Filmmaker Secrets podcast, episode number 68. And I have with me my good friend, filmmaker, cinematographer, and storyteller, Tommy Ragan. So Tommy, go ahead and say what's up to our filmmakers and reveal the one filmmaker secret that you have been keeping from us.
What's up, guys? I am so happy to be here. George, you're the man. I love talking to you. It's going to be so awesome. Looking forward to this.
I'll give you the $20 later.
You got it. Yep. My filmmaker secret, I would say to anyone starting out and anyone who's been doing this type of work for a long time would be, you don't know shit. When I say that, I mean, no matter how long you've been doing this, things keep changing. Things are always changing. Techniques are changing. Technology's changing. There are kids coming in who know a different way to do it. Doesn't mean it's better than yours. Doesn't mean it's the wrong way. It doesn't mean anything like that. But what I mean is that there's always a different way to do it, whether it's better or not. Does that make sense?
That made about 20% sense. Can you expand upon that?
Yes. Let me give more details. So my point is that so I've been doing this. So I graduated college in did we graduate the same year?
2011.
I went in way longer than I was supposed to. So okay, I did 2010. And so I've been in the industry. I went to New York and I've been doing this since then. So what is that? 13 years. I was doing this stuff during college as well at a job, doing film video production for their library essentially. And so I could go around thinking like, oh, I've got 15 plus years of experience and I'm going to tell my crew what to do. But if I'm not open to the idea that, okay, they might see something that I don't and have a different technique to get this lighting set up or get this, how we can capture the audio a little bit better or how we can get a better shot or a nicer pan or tilt or move with this camera angle. And I'm closed off to the idea that someone might have a better idea than me. Then I'm just not actually going to get the best project done. I'm not going to get the best shot. I'm not going to get the best lighting setup. I'm not saying that you have to take every single suggestion that comes your way, but being open to the idea that you actually don't know shit. You don't know what's best. There's not what's best. There's not a one thing that's best for a certain setup or project. And being open to the idea that other people have things to contribute, because film is such a collaborative process, right? That's why there's so many people on a crew and cast and pre-production, post-production. There's so much that goes into it, and everyone has something of value to bring. So that's what I mean by you don't know shit.
Thanks for taking that extra 80%. And I guess that's a really kind of concise way of saying what I say all the time about collaboration, which is that as soon as you realize that there are other people out there that are much better at certain things than you, that's when true collaboration can actually happen. But I guess a really good way of saying that is that you don't know shit.
Yeah.
you only know a little bit about certain things, but then you got to bring the other talents, the other skill sets that other people have together in order to form that really truly cohesive unit that can then take whatever goal it is that you have for that project all the way through to the end.
Exactly. And even going in deeper with that, like I said, technology is changing constantly. It's like a new camera's out every 2 months, and there's so many different formats. So there's just so much more that happens that if you're not like collaborating with other people and you only go based off of what you know and what you've seen, then you're missing out on like 95% of what else is out there. Right. So it's just having that idea of, there's constant learning that needs to happen in this industry to stay relevant, to stay on top of it.
It's interesting that you bring up this idea of the technical aspect of filmmaking, which is a big part of filmmaking. But within, on your website, even you have one of your sort of titles, the bullet points is a storyteller and story. Obviously, I know you from us having known each other. So I know that story is important to you. But can you talk a little bit about that, finding that balance between the creative side where you're actually trying to make the audience feel something versus that technical side where you're trying to get that visceral reaction out of an audience so they stay engaged in order to see through that story and get some sort of insight on the other side?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think something that makes me think of is because we're filmmakers. We go to school for it. We've spent this time to like educate ourselves on the technology and how things actually work and why they work that way. And then there's this new generation that comes in with their iPhone and think they can shoot a movie, which there's value in that, but sometimes it's a little offensive, right? So I think when it comes to that, it's like, sure, you can be, to me, it's like, do you really call yourself a cinematographer if you're shooting on your phone? You can, with the idea that you know why you're framing something the way that you're framing it. If you are doing it purposefully, not saying like, oh yeah, this is me doing a vlog and I'm a cinematographer because of it, but you're being purposeful with how you're putting this story together. So I think when it comes to the technology, it's so important to stay on top of it. But I still shoot with the GH4, which came out in like 2012, something like that. It was crazy when that came out, but I'm still able to push it to be relevant today. So it's like, in that sense, technology is important, but it's because I know why that camera still works today. I know it can shoot 4K. I know I can get 60 frames a second if I want it out of it. Am I hitting anywhere on your question here?
You totally are, because what that makes me think about is the fact that all of the technology we use in order to tell our stories through film are just tools. And going back to the very first episode of the Filmmaker Secrets podcast is all about tool trapping and the idea that the more you concentrate on the tools you need in order to complete a task, the further you dig yourself down into that rabbit hole of making excuses and telling stories to yourself about why you are not creating, why you are not shooting a film. The best advice that I can ever give to filmmakers is you are a filmmaker, make a film.
Yeah.
If you don't have the camera in your hand at the present moment that you wish to have, you do have an iPhone or some sort of smartphone or somebody that has a camera somewhere. Use it in order to tell your story. And then as you start to level up, you can upgrade your tools according to your skill set level.
Right. Yeah. And I think, that's the point to make is that, story is more valuable than the technology that you have to tell it, than the tools that you are using to tell it. Right. You could build a house with just a hammer and nails. Right. But it's better when you do have a power drill and all of the fancier equipment pieces to put together, right?
But and how good of a house is it going to be, really?
Exactly. Yeah, true. So there's
you're going to suck at first. You're going to suck at first. That's so true. I mean, I think back to the very first film I ever shot, and I'm like, what was I thinking? But that is a necessary step in order to start leveling up.
Right. Yeah. I have so many shots that have been out of focus that it's like, man, I can't keep doing this. So I have more of an eye when I'm shooting, especially doing more guerrilla style, documentary style. It's like, you're going to miss sometimes. It's going to happen. And you have to, if you don't put value on the story and you're just that, it goes vice versa, right? So if you don't put value on the story and how you're going to impact an audience, who your audience is, and you just focus on making a pretty shot and just how great your 8K Canon R5 can shoot or something like that, it's like, well, nobody's going to care because it might be a pretty shot, but how are they even connected to that story? I have to slide over and grab a coffee. One sec. Sorry.
There you go.
It was delivered to me, so I had to go down to the other end.
How convenient is that? Starbucks?
Very convenient. Yeah.
Caramel macchiato?
It's a oat milk latte, 2-pump, triple, no whip.
I love it. I might just keep this in. That was awesome.
It probably should stay. This is what's really important. This is what keeps me going. This is number 2 today. So
I'm with you there, buddy.
Yeah.
Well,
cheers.
now that we've beat this, story, the importance of story to death, I think we can really get into it. So Tommy, take me back to the moment where you initially got the spark that sort of launched this flame in you that made you think, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. I want to be a filmmaker. I want to tell stories. Tell me that story.
Oh God, that's a great question. And I don't know if there is a good story to that. I remember when I was in high school towards I think it was my senior year. That's when I was like, I want to be on stage. I want to perform. I've never done it before. But me and my friends were always like, we were known as the Rowdy Raiders. Our school, Rangeview High School Raiders, was our mascot. We were the Rowdy Raiders. So we were always kind of putting on a show in these big public spaces. But I wanted to experiment more and get on stage and see if I could still perform, if I could perform in a way that was for entertainment purposes in that sense. I was really into comedy. So I wanted to be funny and showy, I guess, is what I wanted to do in high school. And then, time to go to college, I went in undeclared. I still wasn't quite sure. I dabbled in doing some video projects and some narrative pieces, but again, just centered around comedy and really wanting to be in front of the camera. So after my first year being undeclared and just doing core requirements in college, I decided to join the film production. It was film, television, and theater. So it was kind of a combination of behind the camera, in front of the camera, on stage at the University of Colorado, Denver. And so I joined that program, and I just remember one of my teachers, and I think this was just a really validating moment that I was in the right trajectory, at least. I remember editing one of my projects and showing the teacher, and he just kind of looked at me and was like, yeah, after he watched it, I'm just like kind of nervous. Like, what does he think of this? And he's kind of got this like straight face, and he's like, do you play music? And I was like, no, absolutely not. I don't have a musical bone in my body. And then he was just like, oh, because you have a really good rhythm in your edit. It's like, this is really important in an edit, and you've got really good rhythm. And I was just like, okay, maybe I can do this. Maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Cause again, like I had lots of musical friends that were bands and things like that. But I knew I couldn't play guitar or piano or anything like that. And then for him to say that, and that to me kind of like solidified how I edit as well. So I think that was the moment that was just really validating, in the sense that I was doing something that I should be. No matter how much I enjoyed it, it was something that said, keep going with this, see how far you can get with this. So yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, that's like getting that sort of validation can truly give you that forward thinking in terms of whether I go left or whether I go right, and
right.
Left being I'm going to continue on the path that I'm at, or right being I need to pivot or I need to change something. This is not working. But it's the fact that you got that little bit of validation that was kind of the launching point, and you realized, okay, I actually got this. Like I can do this. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So what, this question is kind of propping up in my mind in terms of, for me personally, when I'm on a film set, whether I'm the cinematographer, whether I'm the director or the PA or just the person that's helping out with the catering, I get a true sense of belonging when I'm on a film set. What is that about? What particular part of the filmmaking process makes you feel like I belong on this particular film set, whether that be documentary, narrative, what kind of role you're in? When do you get that true sense of I'm meant for this?
Mm-hmm. Another great question. And
I got plenty of that.
Yeah, you do. You're making me really have some self-perspective here. Really, what's the word?
Got to practice being self-aware.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm having to think about why I make life choices, which is great. I think what comes to mind for me is, first and foremost, I think experience is really important. So I think that's really given me a lot of drive, so that when I do jump onto a set, no matter what the project is, I'm able to find my grounding in that, because I know I do know what I know, and I know that being open, and I'm here with other great filmmakers, other great team players, that's going to help us elevate the shoot and the project. So I think what's really helped me in that is having the experience that would give me the confidence to know that what I'm seeing is valid. What I'm seeing is something that can really make this project great. Because a lot of what I've done, especially in New York, was doing documentary style filmmaking for different programs. So it's just, you're kind of just shooting by the seat of your pants, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen, and just being able to capture the shot to help tell the story is important. So it's just knowing doing that so much gave me the ability to know, okay, something's about to happen. Hold this shot just 2 more seconds longer, or I need to move. Nothing's there. Like giving me that bit of intuition, I guess, to really trust myself in that process. I think that's really, so again, experience. So just like what you're saying, it's like, you can't practice if you don't do it. So even though you don't have the technology, go and do it, because that experience is going to elevate your next project, and you're going to keep getting better and better every time you do it. So you always have to put yourself out there so that you can grow and know better the next time, and be more open and fluid the next shoot that you get onto.
Can you think of a specific example on a film set where because you talk about this idea of intuition, and I think there is something to that, because I don't necessarily believe that some people are meant to be filmmakers, some people aren't. I think if it's something that gives you that drive to continue to create, to continue to go through the misery that is filmmaking, oftentimes in this industry, it's difficult. But what is that balance between intuition and just simply doing the same thing over and over and getting that practice in, getting that muscle memory built up to where you have that sense of, oh, I need to hold on this shot just a little longer because I can feel something happening with this actor or this person that I'm interviewing, and I just need a few more seconds to see what happens, versus I know, it's the knowing versus the discovery. Can you think of a specific moment where you use that as an intentional tool within your tool belt?
Oh, another great question. And I think something that comes to mind, especially when we talk about this, like holding the shot just a moment longer, I think we've all probably done it at some point where it's like, we're on a shot and then we move away, right? And we just wish we had that extra second or a half second so that the fade or the transition worked better, right? Or just knowing, I did some shooting for this guy who was running for I think District 12 in New York City. He was this really eccentric guy. I don't know if I can drop his name. Maybe bleep it. I don't know. Sander Hicks. He's very crazy, but like really thoughtful, introspective guy. And he wrote a couple of books. Look him up, and you'll see what I mean by this. But I did a bunch of videos for him, and a lot of them were just kind of like, oh, I'm doing this event, come shoot some stuff and turn it into video. And he'd do like some man on the street things like that. And I remember this one shot that I got, and it actually might be in my reel, but every time I see it, I kind of cringe because I see like, oh, I just missed it. I just missed it too much. I moved it and because I knew what happened after. But like, there's a shot of him walking up, and I think he's like tipping his hat or he's like waving, and it's like a beautiful shot, but I dipped down just at the wrong second to get like the smile or the hug with the person right after that. So it's just knowing that it's like, hold it just a little bit longer, give yourself some space, give yourself the mobility in the edit so that you just have the room to make it what you want. And I think, a lot of times just shooting anything, it's like you sit around and it's like, okay, I got that shot, but just in that experience of doing it over and over again, it always came up of just like, okay, just a little bit longer. There's no problem in getting an extra 5 seconds, 2 seconds. Something else might happen right after that, especially when you don't know. So maybe not a specific example, but that's how I've learned to actually hold a shot just a little bit longer.
Shooting for the edit. I love it.
Especially when you know you're the editor. You want to take care of future self, right?
Thanks, Past George, for making that shot work.
Right.
Well, the last 20 minutes absolutely flew by, and we're about 8 minutes left in this recording, unfortunately. But we will definitely do a part
sound
2.
Like an idiot.
No,
20 minutes of just some rambling idiot. That's what you got here.
Insight upon insight, Tommy. I appreciate it so much. I got last couple of questions for you. On the inverse of that, can you think of a moment where you felt like just everything was absolutely falling from the sky? The camera's broken. The actor didn't show up. Somebody on your crew is late, and you feel like everything's just coming down on you and the weight of the world is on your shoulders. Can you tell me about what happened and how you kind of overcame that huge obstacle?
It's a great question. And this actually just happened, and I'm going to alter some of the details, but this is basically how it happened. So we were doing a live stream here in the studio. Fun fact, I made a stupid mistake. One that I know better. I shouldn't have done this. I upgraded or updated one of the pieces of software. And I'm working on a PC here, so that's another downfall. But I updated one of the software pieces. So if any of you have ever done this, I'm sure there's a lot of you out there. Once you do that, it kind of fucks with your system here. So once I did that, and then we tried to go live, all of a sudden, and I couldn't see this until we tried to go live. I couldn't hear this until we tried to go live. But all of my settings for audio and video were coming through. The audio was coming through crunchy just through the live stream. So it was just like cackling the whole time he was talking. The video was coming through super blurry, and there was nothing. I didn't know why I keep telling everyone I hate live streams because there's 1,000 things that can go wrong and 1,000 reasons each one of those things can go wrong. So I'm just going through my Rolodex. It's like, okay, maybe this, and I'm not coming up with anything. And luckily, and again, this goes to say you don't know shit. I didn't know shit. I had this dude on my crew come up, and he starts poking around, and he updates the video driver, updates the audio monitor that was going through OBS. And he's like, I got it. We're okay. We could do it. It was just like, oh, thank God I can kiss you. And we were able to do the live stream. So that, again, there's a reason why you need to be open to other people, because someone's going to know something that you don't, especially in a time crunch. You need that support because you can't hold it yourself. You can't hold it all yourself. And having people that you trust, because if I didn't trust him, I would have been like, everybody out. Let me try to do this. But he took the wheel, was able to figure it out. And it was just like, thank you. This is why you are going to keep getting hired onto my crew, because I can trust you. I can trust that the input that you have is going to help us in this production. So
a problem solver, someone that everybody needs. And you brought that perfectly into a nicely wrapped package with the full circle going from your very first initial Filmmaker Secrets. So I appreciate you. Did you plan that? I feel like you planned it.
I did not. I had no intention of talking about this huge flub of mine. Another Filmmaker secret: don't update anything just before your live stream. Just stick with what's there.
Good advice. Good advice. Well, Tommy, I have one final question for you, and this is a doozy. This is probably the hardest one of them all. What is your deserted island movie? So if you could only watch one film for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Wonderful question. And by the way, I love that yours is The Fifth Element. That's so cool.
That's right.
Mine would be Back to the Future.
Yeah. The first one? Yeah.
The first one, of course, the first one. First one and the second one are, sometimes it feels comparable. Like those are great. But third one, it's like, that's a different thing.
That's a whole other movie.
Right. But the reason why Back to the Future is my desert island movie. Deserted island. Desert.
Whatever. I said, what did I say? I said desert. I'm pretty sure I said desert island movie for the first 50 episodes. So you're fine.
Okay, sweet. That island movie of mine would be Back to the Future. The reason why is because to me, and I encourage everyone to go back and watch this film, and especially listen to this film, because the way that the sound design to me happens in this movie, and it starts at the very beginning. It's just going with this kind of monotone, or not monotone. What's that? Metronome clicking from the clocks that are just, and it's just panning through the doctor's, or not the doctor. What the hell am I saying? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. The Doc.
Doc Brown. Yeah, Doc Brown. Yeah. Okay. Just panning through his place, and just the sound design right off the bat is set where it's like, this is going to be a flowing sound design, and we're going to take you on this journey, even in the sound. So if you just listen to that movie, you can turn the TV off and just listen to it. And it's just to me, it's so musical. Even the way they say things, it's just the way that the sound is done in Back to the Future is like, that's cohesive in using all of your elements for telling a story in film to keep an audience engaged. So, Back to the Future.
Knowledge bomb upon knowledge bomb all the way through to the end of the episode. Tommy, I appreciate you so much. And sound design is so important. Maybe this is going to be for part 2, because it is such a enrapturing and encapsulating piece of post-production, to where it totally grabs your audience by the throat and pulls them into your film. And that's important to do. So, Tommy, where can our filmmakers go to find out more about you, more about what you do, your work, and everything?
There's a couple ways. You can go to my website. It's tomraganfilm.com. Is that right? Is that my website?
That's correct. That is correct. Okay. I checked it out right before.
Perfect. tomraganfilm.com. I'm down in Albuquerque now. I run a studio down here. It's the Studio at West, the website.
And I'll make sure to have all of these links in the show notes.
Drum roll, please. The studio.west, that's West with 2 S's, .org. West is a nonprofit organization. Long thing. We'll talk about that later. But beautiful. The studio.west with 2 S's, .org.
This has been amazing, Tommy. I want to thank you so much for being on the Filmmaker Secrets podcast.
Thanks for having me, George. You're the man.
If you like that, then you are going to love my Cine Racing Challenge. This is a 7-day filmmaking competition where your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to write, shoot, and edit a short 60-second film in just 7 days for your one chance to win with over $10,000 in prizes. So head over to cineracing.com. That's cineracing.com to get registered. Spots are filling up fast and the timer is ticking before the next Cine Racing Challenge launches. So be sure to head over to cineracing.com right now to get registered. I'll see you over there.